What's up, everybody? Let's talk about testing. Uh, so often we get asked out and about conferences, events, wherever we may be, is do people ever fail your testing? Well, for those of you who don't know us quite well yet, is we test all the time in every training. And so do people ever fail? Yeah, and kind of. So I'll get to the kind of in a minute, but here's why the emphatic yes. If there's a test out there where everyone gets 100%, what in the world does that say about the material you taught in the test itself? To me, it means it was probably on the closer side to useless. It means it didn't force your people to stretch. New neural pathways weren't created. They were probably never uncomfortable. And that's where growth happens. We know this. However, when we leave these events, sometimes we feel like the best teachers ever. Everyone passed. And maybe you are, but it's much more likely that the material in the test sucked. Now, you have to fail people. And it's not because we want to, it's not fun to do this, but it's because if we don't, then we don't have a standard. The test was built to see if they could apply the behavior change that we built the training to create. Maybe everyone will pass. And if they do, wonderful, you got a great team, but what are your notes for them? So it's not about pass, fail. It's not yes, you can move forward to the next level, or no, you have to be held back. The context means everything. If they did well, why? What individual uniqueness did they show? How do they spin something that may have been a little bit off course but worked for them? If they failed, same question. Why? What are the notes? How do they get better? And here's the reason. You have to have a standard for this. So now let's take a pause from the emphatic yes, and let's go to the kind of. Well, unfortunately, it's not up to WinSpectrum and my team to tell you what to do with your people. We have thoughts. In fact, I'll tell you, I would trust my team and their ability to judge talent over anyone in the world. And over time, most customers ask us because we're going to build that trust. We work with our customers usually for a pretty extended period of time, a couple of years, hopefully more. But all that said, it's not up to us, it's up to you, the company. So for all of you out there, when somebody fails training, what's your process? Do you offboard them immediately? Do you invest time and resources? And how often at the executive level is this discussed? The reality is it needs to for a couple of reasons. One, you want to make sure that you have the right people in front of your customers, the ones that can deliver and execute the way that your customers need and deserve. Secondly, it costs you a hell of a lot of money to keep people that can't produce. And if you know they can't produce, why would you put them in front of a customer? Why not take them back? Now, we're all for rehabilitation, right? Let's go help them get better. And some people you can, and some people other bigger projects that it's going to cost too much for the company, either in time or finance or other resources that it just doesn't make sense to. But if you don't have that line of when we cut rope, when we invest more across all of your trainings and across all the things that you're building to make your people better, then why even test them and why even train them in the first place? Because you're already telling yourself that mediocrity is acceptable. Well, if a mediocrity is acceptable in your walls, then what kind of experience can your customer expect to get? And how surprised can you be when they choose not to leverage your product or service or solution? You see, it all comes down to being intentional. It comes down to understanding and having reasons behind why we do the things we do and our willingness to examine if we're able to create the outcomes that our job and our roles require for the company as an organism to continue to grow. So when was the last time you calculated what waiting on talent refinement is costing your organization? When was the last time you went back and looked at all the tests you put your people through and saw if this is something that your customers would be proud that you put them through? My guess is it's probably been a while. It may never have happened, and that's okay. So how do you start? Well, it's really simple. Look at all the training you give people and make sure it's tied to outcomes that they actually need to be able to do, tied to conversations all the way down to the skill level. If you can't do that, let me know. We can help. And then when you do that, you have to look at the tests that you give them to measure those skills in your organization. What do they look like? When do you see them perform? When do you put them on stage? When it matters most, how do they perform? And then what happens if that performance is not up to par? Just as importantly, what happens if that performance is stellar? We have to look at it both ways. But go and assess the tests you have. Take them yourself. If they're a joke for you, what do you think your people think about them? Employees today, contributors to our organization, contributors to revenue today, want at least one of two things in their roles. They want to earn and they want to learn. If they can do both simultaneously, you're going to have a wonderful, wonderful company. But if you're not providing at least one of these two things, then they're not going to stick around. And I would urge you to push on the learning side. Because the more you teach them, the more they're going to be able to earn. The more they earn doesn't mean they know anymore, which means as you grow as an organization, they may not have a place in it. So test your people. And if you're going to do it, make sure it's something that's going to be an accomplishment when they pass it.